gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Two Fat Guys Talking Flowers, where we're always going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly about flowers. I'm Fern. We got Joel on the ones and twos. Mimi is in the house. Ryan is at T-Pie, so he's not here. He's missing out, I'll tell you that. Mike is in the house, and our industry-leading, trailblazing, all-around amazing guest is none other than the Red Kennicott with Kennicott Brothers.
Yeah. All right.
Dreams come true.
I know. We have Red on the podcast. You know, Mimi's been killing it with the guest list. Let me tell you.
Well, I had help here. Mike helped me. But
Mimi called us at dinner last night and said, "Did you ask Red if he could be on the podcast?" Which is great. But I had asked Paige to kind of whisper in her grandpa's ear that we wanted to be on the podcast.
We're fans of so many of the Kennicott stars. I mean, we have Lenny Walker is one of my favorite people of the whole planet. Lisa is amazing. I mean, yes, Paige, and of course
Paige and the twins.
Andy. Andy. But to have Red, oh my gosh, this is it.
Oh my God, you guys are just too kind with your words. I'm truly honored to be with this group today, and thank you so much.
Awesome. No, man, I think the honor is all ours, and completely. Especially our listeners, you know, to hear some of the things that, I mean, you have to have a million stories, but, you know, to hear some of the stories and to get to hear some of your history to our group of people that listen in, it's an awesome privilege. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody's really going to enjoy this. You know what? The first time I met Red was at SAF maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
In Orlando, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was the year Ryan won Marketer of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting ready to listen to I think it was
Saeed.
Saeed.
We were together.
That's
we
right.
were sitting down together.
It was Saeed's seminar or whatever.
It was one that he was doing with Danny,
yeah,
right?
It was
about
him and Danny.
e-commerce.
Correct.
And my phone rings, and it's Ryan. He's like, "Where are you?" And I'm about to watch Saeed's talk, and he goes, "Well, someone's here to see you." I'm like, "Someone wants to see you." I'm like, "Who?" He said, "Red Kennicott." And I was like, "What?"
That was the Barbie box here.
Yes, it was the Barbie box here.
I ran. You never saw a fat boy run like that.
Mike just goes, "I gotta go," and I'm like, "Okay."
I ran. I was so nervous.
Oh.
Yeah, it's true.
Red, you don't know you have that influence, huh? You seem so humble about it.
I can't believe this.
Oh my gosh.
No, because I've been, since I'm a kid, I've heard the name.
Yeah.
But I never had the opportunity to meet him.
And in our industry, it's not just a name about legacy and everything, but it's a real, it's about humility. It's about great leadership. Like, it's just synonymous with feel good, So you hear Red's name and it's just, it brings this feel. I know he's looking at me like I'm crazy, but it's true. This is, I'm 18 years.
It's not just Red. You meet with everybody else in the organization,
100%.
whether his son and his granddaughter, okay, they're family, right? You'd be like, but then you meet Lenny Walker and meet, some of the leaders
Gustavo,
he has around,
you hear,
and Gustavo and the buyers. I mean, and Courtney and, then Andy. And, it trickles all the way down.
Yeah.
The organization is full of amazing people, and that only starts at the top.
Yeah.
You only get those kind 100%. Of people with it having at the top. So we're huge fans.
Thank you.
So yesterday we were talking about I took a cruise to Alaska with Mommy.
Mm-hmm.
And Red said, "Well, did you go to the Kennicott Glacier?" I was like, "What do you mean?" Can you tell us about that glacier? I don't remember exactly what you said, Red.
Well,
it's so interesting.
My ancestor, Robert Kennicott, who was the older brother of the two Kennicott brothers, he explored Alaska back when the Russians owned it. That was back in the 1850s. And he actually was there 2-3 years. He made a lot of notes. Some of you have heard of Seward's Folly. The notes Seward used were Robert Kennicott's, and they bought Alaska back, I think, for $7.2 million, which was a big controversial issue at the day. But Robert Kennicott died at the age of 30 in Alaska. And so they named the glacier and the town, and I think there's a river up there too named after him.
How cool is that?
How cool is that? That's so awesome to have history like that.
There's so much of it. I don't know if we can cram it all into this
I don't
podcast.
think
This
so.
got so much.
I don't think so, but
So
we'll
much.
try.
We will always try. This might be a long episode, fatties.
Yeah.
Don't judge us.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get right into it. We have to know,
How'd you start?
where did you come from?
Well, my first job was when I was 12 years old. My dad said I was old enough to work in the wholesale house. So I started working at Kennicott Bros, Chicago location every Saturday.
The same one that I was recently at visiting?
Oh, no, this one was at 1317 West Randolph in the Randolph Street. It was a wholesaler's building in those days.
Oh, Lenny showed me that building. It's
Yeah.
like McDonald's is there or something, or
Well,
down the
then-
street from
yeah,
McDonald's.
in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
It says wholesale florist in the front of the building. It
Yeah.
was built in 1927. But yeah, that was my first job. He paid me $2 a day, and I loved it. I was fascinated with the wholesale business right from the beginning.
That's awesome. Me too.
Which boxes did you carry? Did you have to carry what did the Armellini say?
We would talk about that. We both were carrying gladiolas. and wooden
Gladiolas.
hammers.
Oh, that big
Yeah.
wooden hampers of glads. Yeah, we
had
had
that.
some huge boxes.
What
of
was it
flowers
that
in
they
those
said?
days.
They said that they knew you became a man when you could carry a box of gladiolas.
That's what the
That's it.
Armellini say.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
how
yep.
that's how you distinguish kid and man.
Yeah.
You could carry the glass.
And over your shoulder to go up
Yeah.
the stairs,
Oh,
like
there you
Mike
go.
did in his day too.
Yeah.
So how did it evolve from there? You were 12 years old. You were working on Saturdays. How did it change?
Well, I just kept on working on Saturdays. When I went to college, I would come home for like Mother's Day and in the holidays and in the summers. And so in fact, my interest in the wholesale florist business, one of my very first memories is playing with my toys on a wholesale table at the age of 2 or 3. And I was fascinated with it then, and I have been all my life. And that's why I'm still here today.
So cool.
So what was your favorite job growing up as a kid? You come home for the summers, you'd work, when you were off from school. What were your favorite jobs then?
Yeah, well, working in the wholesale house, and I did. My father is a peony grower, and you've heard about that from Paige. So I would go out in the fields and work in the peonies, and eventually help harvest them. And so
Was that down south, or did you? If I recall, you guys. I know you have some land in either Illinois or Milwaukee, I think.
yeah, where I first worked was in a place called the Grove, which was actually where the founding place of Kennicott Brothers, and my father was growing some peony plants out there to nurture them to plant to send them up north to a farm we have in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
That's awesome.
Well, do you remember what peonies traded for back then? The
Oh,
average prices of peonies?
Yeah, and in those days it was maybe $1 to $1.50 a dozen.
A dozen.
Yeah, when we got to $2 a dozen, that's 16
Wow.
cents. Of course, that was
How
that was
incredible.
huge.
How incredible. A dozen.
But that's big. That was big money back in those days.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, but everything's relative now.
Yeah.
There's a story about my great grandfather Amos, who was one of the Kennicott brothers, and he was a peony grower. He was getting back in the 1880s a penny apiece, but he discovered he could refrigerate them. He built a little refrigeration thing with sawdust and got ice from Lake Michigan to keep them cool, and he could keep them several weeks. He got the price up to 2 cents a stem.
Wow.
Doubled it. Smart.
So amazing.
I love it. But you're growing up in the wholesale house, and eventually you started to just take over different departments and grow within the company.
Well, I've done just every job there is to do in a wholesale house.
Wow.
Sure.
So at what point did you say, okay, we're going to start expanding and open new locations in different cities and stuff?
Well, that was an interesting question. When I was 25 years old, I was selling flowers regularly then, and we shipped a lot of them up the North Shore on an electric railroad called the North Shore Railroad. We had customers along the lake shore up into Milwaukee even, and that railroad shut down. And so I had the idea that we ought to open a wholesale house to be there locally. And I had to talk my dad into it, but he let me open a wholesale house in Waukegan, Illinois. And it was just me and a driver and one other helper at the time. But we made it work, and so that's when we first had our first location, in addition to Chicago.
And what, you would send a truck from the Chicago location out there every day, or you would get delivery straight from the growers?
Well, we didn't get enough stuff for there was a few local growers. But no, we had a truck come up from Chicago every day.
Okay. And then what, you wanted to do it again in another location?
Yeah, a couple of years later, we opened one in Aurora, Illinois, which is out west, and then got a couple more. A couple of years later, we got a chance to get together with some partners down in Hammond, Indiana. So we slowly but surely.
Was it a strategic plan? Like you had it mapped out, like this is what we want to do in the future and stuff, or it was just all spur of the moment kind of ideas?
I think pretty much everything was kind of spur of the moment. With no grand strategy. We talked about it and thought about how can we do a better job to serve the florists, and one thing led to another.
Opportunity knocked. And now you're at 14 wholesale floral distributions throughout.
Did you notice his wording? He didn't say we want to make more revenue, we want to make more money. He said he wanted to serve the florist, the industry.
Yeah, it's obvious.
It's a big deal.
It all starts with your customers, and it all starts with there's got to be a value to provide.
Yep. I remember my grandfather used to wear a jacket and tie every day. With the fedora hat, and he would just be there to greet the customers and make sure everybody was doing what they're supposed to do. And he was like the man. It was cool. I remember that as a little kid.
He was the patriarch of your family. He was the leader, right? He was the head.
I mean, he was my dad's dad.
Yeah, but to see the pride that he would do every day, to dress up and show that pride. And that's exactly what I think we need a little bit more of that lately. But yeah, exactly. That's what pushes you to keep going, because he inspired you. And I'm sure Red had a lot of inspiration in his family as well.
I like the action.
Yeah.
I liked all the...
You like the
back and forth stuff, I like the...
Yeah, this isn't
pace,
for everybody. This is very fast paced. So.
Yeah, I like the pace. I like the action. I like the flower business is like controlled gambling. It is. You're buying all this product on speculation of what you think you're going to sell.
In hopes that your customers need it. Yeah.
Or even worse, back in the day, the growers would send you the flowers and you're obligated to sell them. And if you can't, it was a problem. Right, Red?
Oh, sure. 95% of our flowers came on consignment from the growers.
Yep. So if you gave your growers bad returns more than a couple times, you were history.
Right. They wouldn't sell to you again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They give it to your competitor, and it's like a knife in your heart. Oh,
you went to the guy next door.
Of all the people, you had to give it to that freaking guy. It's like that.
So do you think that you had more sense of compassion, or more, how do I want to say this?
Obligation.
More obligation.
Yeah, you had a responsibility and an obligation, even if you weren't able to sell all the product. You probably would give the grower a good return anyway, and it's your loss, and you'll make it up in the next one. At least, am I right, Red? That's the best way.
You had to be fair with them, and a lot of them. I had neighbors. I rode on the school bus with kids whose parents grew carnations and roses, and I remember my dad saying to me, if we can get a penny of flour more for those carnations, that's going to make the difference whether those kids have a good Christmas.
See that?
That's the kind of feeling that we
penny.
had. Yeah.
A penny. So they grew carnations in Chicago area?
Oh, yeah, right down the road from where I grew up, sure. All the flowers were local in those days.
That's so crazy. I mean, because customers today still, or people that aren't in the industry think that a florist has a greenhouse behind them and they're getting their
There's a
flowers. No one really
resurgence of
knows.
that. There is some of that, but it's not the same. Like, it's not as common, but there's a lot of that in other parts of the nation where people do get a lot of their stuff from.
No, there's a lot. I feel
co-ops
like
and-
there is a lot more people local growing for their local region.
Yeah,
you
the
know.
Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers has grown immensely. Like, it is, there's a lot of people who they want to come back to having a job where they're using their hands, where they're producing something, and
We need more of that
Yeah.
as a country.
one
Well,
of
that's a great organization, but I'm impressed with what JetFresh does with your growers in Ecuador,
oh yeah.
and the feeling that you have about them, and the wonderful things you do for the workers there. It's really amazing to me. I applaud you for it.
Thanks, Red. Thank you very much. That's cool.
Mhm.
I was telling Red about Juanita's laundry and stuff last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I think you're very humble about what goes down there, because we also have our vet program. We have the women helping the women. There's so many things that Juanita and Mike and the whole team are doing. It's just I'm. It's
And
one of
you
my
see it-
real
you see it on
proud
their faces.
moments.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
see the pride that
And you see that when
every
you go
employee has there.
when you see Mike, or even when we go down
When
on the
Mike's
farm.
there, he's a celebrity.
He's a celebrity, yeah, and it's amazing because you're right. Like you see the direct correlation between farm and family, and I think that's gorgeous.
We are referred to in the area as the Gringo Farm.
Yeah,
That's how they refer
that's
to
another
it.
thing that's really impressive, because you're embraced by the locals there as one of
That
them.
isn't how it was in the beginning.
No,
We had to
No.
prove it.
Yeah, but the
had to
farm
prove
has
it.
proved it over and
Yeah.
over, and continues to improve and give more benefits to the employees. And when you have almost all female management staff.
85% female employees and
Almost-
95% female management.
How awesome is that in a country where that's very unheard of? I mean, it's amazing. Kudos.
They're doing good. They're doing good. So explain about that peony business a little bit more, right? Because you have peonies from all the way north to all the way south as far as Chile. So how did you get into all this? How did all this happen?
Well, that goes back into the history that you talked to my granddaughter Paige about it. We talked about this place, the Grove, where my great grandfather was a pioneer, and he took a land grant back in 1836, and he was a nurseryman too. He was kind of a Renaissance guy in those days. He was a doctor, but his main love was flowering things, and he had a nursery, but he was growing peonies back in those days, and they started the forests started buying them from them, coming out to the farm, and one thing led to another, and so his two sons, Amos and Flint, were the Kennicott brothers who founded Kennicott Brothers Company back in 1881. But they grew flowers, as we talked about a little bit earlier. So my family's been growing peonies for, as Paige counts it now, 9 generations when we count her babies.
Oh man! Wow, that's amazing.
9. Wow.
That has to be the record right now.
Well,
That has to be.
the ninth,
Yeah.
the ninth like to play in the field. They're not quite old enough to.
They'll
pick the
get
peonies yet.
there. They'll get there. But that has to be the record. 9 generations.
Yeah, they are. The Illinois State Historical Society has named them the oldest continuous operating business. So the Kennicott brothers.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's
Wow, congratulations.
Well, we're not the oldest, but we're
Not-
one of the oldest.
One of the oldest, but continuously, because you guys are still operating them so much and growing. Yeah.
That's great.
So Red, I grew up in Waukegan. I lived up north, Waukegan, a little bit more north in Zion, and I did live a little in the city. I go back to visit the family there almost once a year.
So are you young enough to remember Jack Benny, or old enough to remember Jack Benny?
I went to Jack Benny Middle School in Waukegan.
The comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was from
They
Waukegan.
call him the Walking Man.
Yeah, so my middle school was named Jack Benny Middle.
Okay.
When I went there, I went there for 6th grade, and then I came to visit my father in Florida and I went to South Beach for the summer. And I went to South Beach once, and I never left.
My mom
Like,
says,
literally.
anybody from the north, you put your feet in the sand and there's no turning
There was
back.
no, you take anybody, just go to South Beach, and you will realize that you never want to go through another Chicago winter ever again for
Those
the
are
rest
tough.
of your life. I won't even go back and visit my family from November to May because I'm like, at any given point, you can get a blizzard up there. So I avoid it.
It was 0 degrees when I left yesterday.
Oh my
0.
goodness, no.
That's really cold,
I'm
man.
freezing.
My
I'm
bones
freezing
hurt
down
at
here.
50.
I'm freezing. It's 50 outside, and I'm freezing. I had to go put a jacket to walk outside. It's crazy.
You know, we were talking to our manager up in Minneapolis, and you know, everyone in Chicago was worried about the 0 temperature, and he said, "Oh, it was minus 13."
Oh my.
When I went to
Oh,
work
my
this morning,
God.
and minus 37 chill factor.
Oh.
Mike, I'd have to call up. It's too cold, Mike.
Yeah,
I can't
it's
go.
too cold for me too. Yeah, I remember when I was in New York and it would get really cold, and they invented the auto start.
Oh, and the
Yeah.
cars.
Yeah, and I used to. It came with your alarm system. It wasn't part of like the factory.
It wasn't factory.
You had to
made.
have it installed as an option with your alarm system that you would have to buy at the stereo store. You know, the guy has a garage and he puts in. Anyway, it was great because you'd start your car, and by the time and you had to leave your heater on, defrost the night before, and you go and you start your car, and by the time you shower and get dressed and ready to go to work, all you gotta do is run as fast as you can to the car, and it's already toasty in there. You don't have to worry, and the ice is already melted off the windows, so you don't have to sit there with the scraper. You know, Red, when I moved here, I was cleaning out the back of the car, and I pulled out an ice scraper. On one side, it has a scraper. On the other side, it had a brush. And I handed it to one of these guys that I was working with. He didn't know what it was.
We don't have to worry about those things down
Yeah.
here. We hope not.
Hopefully
know what an
never.
ice scraper
Hopefully
was.
never. No snow in Florida,
No.
in South Florida at least. It snowed in northern Florida. Those people. Did you see the videos? People couldn't even drive like through their
Oh.
neighborhood. Their cars
Yeah.
were just.
I saw
spinning.
some really sad
Yeah,
videos.
yeah. Jacksonville, the bridge for
Ice storm
Jacksonville was
was
closed
iced over the
completely. Yeah,
601.
there was people stuck there for hours because they didn't know how to operate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a video of a fire truck and a fire crew running for their lives because some tractor trailer lost control and was crashing right into the
man.
fire
Yeah,
truck.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had to close our store in Atlanta the other day, and I guess it's because they don't have any salt because they didn't
salt,
have any
no
snow.
shovels?
They just had ice, but that they closed the schools and
No
everything.
shovels or anything.
You know, in Chicago, the whole highway system has little salt silos all over the place, so you know, so they can clean it up and get it ready. But here in the South, we're not ready for
No.
that, Red.
Salt?
Like
Yeah,
little
you salt the street. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean by salt?
Okay,
Yeah.
so salt and chemically,
Yeah, I know salt burns.
melts. It
Yeah.
burns the ice.
It
So-
melts the ice.
So what happens is on the highways, when it freezes over or anything, you throw salt on the highways
The
so that
the snow plows have a salt truck that follows them, or maybe even the salt truck has a salt spreader behind it.
Correct.
and will spread the salt on the highway, so whoever's behind those trucks won't skid out of control.
Oh, we go through tons and tons of salt. You see the storage of it. It's amazing. Yeah.
They have these huge silos on the side of the highway that they storage the salt. So because when it rains on the salt, it melts. So they keep it in like these little like
tin
egg-shaped buildings. It's like an egg-shaped building. They got a front end loader that scoops it and puts it in the back of the dump truck so it can spread the Some places use sand too. You know. So Red, you know, everybody knows that you're amazing flower career, but you also been very involved in the organizations, the flower organizations, right? You were
Yeah,
president of SAF. And what year was that?
I think it was 92.
92. Were you just once the president?
Yeah, it's a 2-year term as it is to this day.
What other associations were you involved in, or are you involved in?
Oh, gosh. Well, probably the first one was the Illinois Allied Florists, which was a big deal in those days. We had a big budget because we had local growers. So we did a lot of marketing and all the local florists belonged to it. And then I was involved with the WF&FSA, and I've been on the American Floral Endowment Board. So So it's been a great opportunity for me to meet lots of people in the industry and get to know what they're doing and learn from them. And so I've been very fortunate to have been involved in all those organizations.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. We just, in the past, 6 or 7 years, been getting involved in that stuff. I've never been involved until then. I was too busy working.
We'd come to WF&FSA, right?
Yeah, but guys in Miami, for the most part, when it comes to that, it's a sales tool.
Yeah.
It's not so much I want to there are definitely people that contribute from Miami, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people that
you got good examples in your own family with Mimi and your son and the next gen and all.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the organizations have been for us. It's not as a sales tool. We're using it to give back to the industry that gives back to us.
To learn, to network, to connect, and look, if you happen to find a relationship along the way where you can do some business together, that's great. But it isn't the whole goal.
Correct.
But I think
it hasn't been, especially the support to AIFD and SAF and a lot of those things that we've been doing. It's a lot more give back, which is really appreciated because we're learning so much from everybody we're meeting at these organizations.
Exactly. I don't think I ever learned so much as I have in. What the hell is that?
I don't know, Joel. I went to go see if you could find out. It sounds like there's horses on the roof.
It sounds like there's horses on the roof right now. This is hilarious.
That's so funny, yeah.
Joel had to leave the room.
It sounded like someone was needing help and it was Morse code.
SOS.
You guys don't know what Morse code is, do you?
Of course we do.
No.
When Joel comes back, let's ask him if he knows.
No, he does not know what Morse code is.
I'm willing to bet the house
I don't
on
know,
that.
guys. Joel he's got a wide range of knowledge. But I
You
think he
keep
knows.
saying that, but he had all this animal knowledge, and we asked him 3 questions about animals. He didn't know all 3 of them.
Joel, do you know what Morse code is?
Yes.
Of course. You see? Yay, Mimi.
Okay.
One.
What's Morse code?
It's like a way of
Communication.
communicating with like certain beats and sounds. It's like 1 beat means like a letter, 2 means something else.
Red, Joel, we laugh because Joel doesn't know a lot of movies either. He doesn't watch TV. He watches YouTube. So
Well, he grew up in that era, right, where YouTube is the thing, and who watches movies, I guess, nowadays.
I watch a lot of YouTubes now.
yeah.
I like YouTubes.
Are you happy that TikTok is back?
I haven't even looked. I don't know. I've been busy.
Do you know what TikTok is, Red?
Of course, he's a star. Red's a social media star.
Yeah, he is.
Love it. I didn't know that they were putting them out on TikTok. I saw them on Reels. So that's
Well,
why.
yeah.
I'm old. I use
Red
Reels.
has been marketing forever. I was talking to him last night, and we were talking about. I remember getting like these trade magazines and newspapers that would come in the mail every week or every month, and there would always be a
Kennicott Brothers page.
ad.
Always.
There would always be even like a quarter-page ad and like Mother's Day specials and stuff like that. He'd have. So that was way before the internet or anything else. He was already.
Our women in Floriculture is having a first meetup meeting, and it's going to be at the Katie Kennicott Center. And I'm excited because I want to see all of the amazing stuff that you were talking about in the museum. So hopefully I get to see all of that. Because
It was cool.
That is cool.
I was like,
yeah, Mike came back telling us all about it, and we were all excited. This book doesn't hold anything compared to what, and I'm holding up a book, The History of the Kennicott Brothers, that from 2021. But it's amazing because there's so much good information in here.
they have like scrapbooks that have every postcards and so many things like articles.
I saw the letters that they would write to their customers and notices and stuff.
Typed out on a typewriter one at a time.
Yeah.
Right? There weren't copy machines.
There's got to be. I'm sure there was afterwards, but there's so much.
No, but the typewriter.
Everything was by hand in the earlier days. Sure.
But they have a typewriter, an old typewriter, in the museum area, and just a whole bunch of stuff. And I
learned how to type on that typewriter.
Did you really?
Sure. And of course, we didn't have even calculators then. It was all by hand, all the numbers and everything.
I remember as a kid, my aunt, her calculator was like one of those old-fashioned cash register looking things, and she had to push the buttons and then pull a lever, and it would go and you would plus, and then there'd be like a thing that you could hit with your fist that would kind of like make it go to the next one, and it would go.
Oh yeah. No, you could get a callus from doing that.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm looking at this amazing picture of your 100th year celebration. I'm assuming you got your name red because of your hair?
I did have red hair, but really the name, and that goes back to the first day I went to work when I was 12. My father's name was Harrison, and that's my name.
Right.
And they said, well, we've already got a Harrison, so you either got to be junior or red.
Yeah, you're speaking Mike's language right
so
now.
that's where
That's
it's
what
from.
happens.
Yeah.
That's right. We got a guy here. I introduced you. His name is Mike Pockets Riley. And the way he got his name is, I don't like anyone else to have the same name as me here because it's confusing. So when I worked for my dad, if you on your first day would stand there with your hands in your pockets waiting for instructions, that was your name. My dad would call you Pockets. That was, come here, Pockets. I got a job for you.
I thought Pockets was Pockets because you got to take the money out of the pocket.
No.
I always thought it was a financial thing.
No, hold on. No, yeah. This
No.
is a good story. Let Mike finish.
No. So on his first day, sure enough, he was standing with his hands in his pockets, and I'm
In
like,
the
perfect.
cooler.
I'm like, perfect. Come here, Pockets. I got work for you. And that's been his name.
No, I know. I understand that very well. If I had my hands in my pockets, my dad would find something for me to do. He said, "There's always something to do in a
There's
wholesale
always
house. You
something."
sweep the floor, you wipe the table.
Exactly. Open newspaper was one of the things.
Absolutely.
You had to open the newspaper for packing. That was, remember we were talking about the unions and all that last night?
Mm-hmm.
So our union on 28th Street was you had to get paid till 2 p.m. regardless. You can't, like if you sent your people home, they still got paid till 2 p.m. And my Uncle Jerry wasn't having that. Nobody leaves. You're getting
Till
paid.
after 2 p.m.
Yeah. So we would stand there for hours sometimes, especially on these cold days where there was no business at all. And we would just stand there and open newspaper and argue and make fun of each other. It was the camaraderie, in a wholesale house. You can't replace that. There's just too much funny stuff that could happen in a day. And people could just say, people come from all different places and they have all different accents, and it's just fun.
Well, I'm reading this in the end of the book. Here you have this amazing where you're saying about your team is your greatest strength and to make a difference not only to our customers but to each other. And at the very end it says, last but not least, do not sit on your butt. Give that last extra effort in whatever you do. Lots of love. Best wishes, grandfather. It's amazing. I love this. The floral industry is no bowl of cherries. Long hours, hard work, and lots of heartache. However, it has a lot of pulses. A lot of pluses. I just read pulses. I'm like, pulses is too, because there's so many different parts of it. But yeah, amazing.
You're quoting a letter that my father wrote to one of my sons when he came to work in the
Oh
wholesale
my
house.
God, I love this letter. Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's cool.
It says, Dear Bill, I'm happy you have given a chance to work at Kennicott Brothers. It'll certainly be a challenge for you. Far be it for me to give you a grandfather's lecture, but here's what it's worth. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. You'll have a chance to be with beautiful flowers, a change of seasons, and certainly not a monotonous job. If you eventually are able in sales, you must number one, know your product. Learn all you can on how it's grown, various varieties of products, and what a grower has to go through to get to produce that same every year. Secondly, you must know your customer, his or her individual taste, the type of clientele they have, and all the little things that they like or dislike. In other words, the florist business is a very personal business. You must conduct yourself in such manner as to gain a person's confidence, completely, whether it be your superiors, fellow workmen, growers, or customers, by following the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. You will find great satisfaction and many friends. But last but not least, do not sit on your butt.
Man, what a letter. It holds true.
I love
to
it.
today.
Love it.
That's
You know
all
what?
right.
That's music to my ears because that's exactly
That's how you run it. Yeah.
how I do it too. I love that so much, and I could relate to that. And if you really listen to what he said, if you're lucky enough
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to get into sales,
Yeah.
you know, but first you need to make your bones. He's
Yeah.
saying, you know, first you need to cut flowers and hump
And
gladiolas
learn
and do all that stuff, and then maybe just then you'll be lucky enough to take care of
To take care of
customers.
people. Yeah.
But that was different in those days too, and you may remember this. They didn't give me any customers when I went out. This was when I first got out of college, and they handed me the yellow pages, and they said,
Yeah.
"Go find some florists who aren't buying from us, and
Yeah.
walk in their door." And
The Yellow Pages, Joel, is like this big book that has all the
I know
phone.
I know
okay.
they are. Yeah.
It's the one they used
I
to
got that- I
sit
got
you
that
on
one.
so that you can reach the table. That's what I did. My mom had the yellow pages, and we were little. We didn't have high chairs. We just had boxes, like stacks of the yellow pages, and sit there and
So
be able
funny.
to eat.
Man, I got in trouble once in 7th grade, and I had to
Copy 'em?
stand with my arms straight out,
Oh, that's hard.
with my back near a wall, not against it, not leaning on it, but really close to it, and I had to hold the yellow pages, one on each hand. That was a trouble.
My kids had to
That's trouble.
hold cans of Dinty Moore beef stew. They had to hold it up. Couldn't put it down. It was that or the belt. You check. You pick.
Well, I love what it says about, you're serving the people, but you're also serving each other as in like with your fellow colleagues. And I think a lot of time we spend so much time with our colleagues, right? Like you're spending 8 hours, sometimes longer hours than you are with our own families.
Yeah.
No,
So-
you spend more time with your colleagues awake than you do with your own family.
That's
Because
so-
even when
yeah.
you get home, you're awake for 4, maybe 5 hours, and then that's it. You go
Yeah,
to bed.
the kids
you
are at
spend
school.
more time conscious with your
So
colleagues.
it's so
than
important to
anything
do
else.
unto others, to be good to each other. And that's also like in 2000, you guys became ESOP, employee owned, right? How was that?
How does that whole process even work? How did that
They
happen?
had to sell their own personal shares of the company. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
sure, well, that was an important decision. It was about the succession of our family, which owned the company, and the future of the company, and so it was a hard decision. But my wife and I made that actually back in 1992, where we sold 30% of the company to the ESOP. And it was working out well. And so in the year 2000, we went 100% employee owned. And it was the best business decision I've ever made because of today. You mentioned several of the people that are on our team now. And we just have many great members of our team who are there, I think, because they get to be owners and,
Right.
and,
They
and
got
share.
skin in the game, and
Mm-hmm.
it's I love that.
You call in and you're talking to somebody who's really, they have ownership of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it isn't just management. It's
No,
It's
everybody.
all the way
everybody.
down.
It's
Yeah.
all the way down. And he's acquired, some, you guys have bought out some companies with some really big names, in the Chicago area or in, the Michigan area, and brought them into that family and kept some really good people, I believe, because it's an ESOP.
Yeah, I think that made a difference for a lot of people. And now
To
we
stay
actually had some people retire now, and they've had a better a better retirement plan because
Right.
of the ESOP.
right. That's it's a beautiful
That's
thing,
cool.
man. It's a beautiful thing. How do you even I don't understand how you do it. So you have all these employees, and you say, okay, we made a decision that we are going to become employee owned. What does an employee have to do from that point? How does it all work? How does it happen?
Well, you're an employee owner, and so when you're dealing with a customer, you're trying to do the best job for them.
Right.
Because if you do a good job, the customer's going to buy more, and the profits of the company would be more.
There you go. There you go. And what you were talking about, Mimi, is this business is all relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As a customer, that's also, I would assume, you feel better about buying from somebody that's, because I know,
Yeah.
I had that conversation before I worked for JetFresh. I did go see other wholesalers too, but there was something about buying from a family. I'm contributing towards a family. My father was a business owner, so I felt confident that he got he had to shut down his grocery stores because of the Walmarts that came around, right? So when I bought from somewhere, I tend to buy from family-owned businesses. So there has to be something as far as also like you feel confident that you're doing the right thing by buying from an ESOP like company. I would feel that way. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, no, for
we
sure.
hope our customers will feel that way.
I think a lot of people feel that way more,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, you know, support small businesses
Local
on
business,
Saturdays,
right,
local
yeah.
businesses, you know, but an ESOP, no matter how many locations they have, they're
Yeah.
all employee owned. You know, it's not one big
No.
corporation. It's a bunch of people making it happen
And
the
big,
collective.
That's a big thing when you're deciding like how do I put my business? Because let's face it, we have a lot of similar farms that we're buying from. We're all doing a lot of the same things, but you know, you guys can have different things like the K to K or being like, you know, bringing in quality product and not just bringing off. I mean, there is a lot of way to distinguish what kind of business you're running, but I feel like the way you treat your employees, we get that all the time. Mike, you know that, right? Like we constantly get people like, wow, like when you guys walk into Jet Fresh and you feel that like, you know, vibe, right? Like people just happy and
People tell us that
they tell us all the time, even the music, which sometimes can be annoying, but like they
Depends
like
who
it.
the DJ is.
Yeah, I know. Fridays. It's
No,
not
I
like-
can attend to that for firsthand. What Mimi said is absolutely the truth because I saw it today. I felt it today everywhere I went in your organization. That kind of feeling was there. So it's absolutely true. You have a wonderful culture here.
Yeah, the culture is super important. And we can all have bad days, 100%. But if you genuinely bring back that feeling every time consistently, like that people walk in, they know, like, you know, one of our customers, Gabby, she goes, Mimi, are you okay? The other day when Dylan was sick. And she knew right off, like, that it was my bad day, right? But it's just like, then we have people bringing us cakes and stuff and all the fun stuff that get us nice and fat during Valentine's Day. All of the carbs are coming. They're beware.
They will be.
Beware.
But no, but customers come back and there's customers
feel-
that they, because of the way we are as a
Yeah.
company and the way we treat people and the way people act and, you know, how
When
we
I
have
went
a
to
good time.
Chicago
You felt that.
to visit with Lenny and hang out with him for which I didn't expect him to take all that time with me. He took a huge amount of time with me, and I'm forever grateful for that. But he's just like we are. He introduced me to everybody. And I love that because everyone is important.
Every person.
Everyone is important. You know, sometimes you go visit. Sorry if I hurt anyone's feelings, but sometimes you go and visit a customer or a vendor, and they don't even acknowledge the people around them. Better yet, even introduce you. Right. And for me, that's a turnoff. For me, that's like,
That's opposite to
yeah,
how
I'm
we
here to
are.
meet you. Your company. I'm not here to meet only you. I want to know about your business.
And
I'm here to-
also, yeah, that's what a lot of the florists that we deal with, they're also family based, or they're also, you know, small teams that they feel like they're part of our team, you know?
But that's not something you teach someone.
No, it's
like I
not.
never told Fern when somebody comes here, I want you to introduce him to everybody.
No.
I never told him that.
Yeah.
He just does it.
Because you
He
have,
just does
because
it. We just do it, and I think Lenny just does it. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
well.
It's just part of the culture itself. It's just part of how.
But also,
the
you
company-
were attracted to Fern, and you guys have like minds, and so then the like mindedness and the constant also leadership. You see
learn-
him too,
I
right?
see-
You're watching.
I see how
Mike
Mike
does.
treats every person here, how Mike treats every vendor, every customer that walks through the door, and I
Yeah.
try my hardest to emulate that
Yeah.
because I aspire
Emulate.
to be. I aspire to be just like Mike.
Like Mike. Well, I yeah.
That's when I
like
knew-
Lenny too. Yeah.
That's when I really knew that we were very like-minded with
With the
your company.
Kennicotts, yeah.
When I mean, I met a woman that works for Kennicott for more than 40 years.
I mean, that's amazing.
Wow.
Who works
With a
for
smile on her
company-
face.
Who works for a company that long nowadays?
Right.
It's crazy.
I thought he said 4,
So,
but it was 40
Red, you're going into the office very frequently, according to Paige. You go a lot,
every
right?
day.
Oh, yeah, I enjoy being there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in fact, my favorite day is Saturday because a lot of the old timers come in,
Oh,
and,
nice.
and it's just great to see them all. Sure,
Old school
that's
Saturdays.
it's always been fascinating to me, so I enjoy being there every day.
Have you always been like prefer to be on the floor than in your office?
Well, that's where I spent the vast majority of my life.
Yeah.
On the floor, like Fern said, more time there than with your own family.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a kid anymore. I can't physically do that. But that was my favorite time, was when I got to be on the floor and buy and sell and see
Mine
everything
too.
going on.
Yeah, mine too. It's cool when you pull in an order in a wholesale house. You got your whole arm full of
Yeah.
like a big bale. Like you're like Superman carrying all this giant bundle of flowers, and you just have so much experience that you know how to lay it on the table that you don't damage anything, and then the packer takes it from there. Or actually, I was watching some of your sales guys packing their own orders. I guess the customer was there, and we needed to take care of him right away. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that was awesome.
They pull the orders, they pack the orders. It's a hands-on business.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And drivers were packing, and that was a cool.
I love our industry. There's so much hands-on, and it's such it's such an emotional product. It's just awesome. I love our industry. I love the wholesale side.
The wholesale side, and I think that's what I would love to hear from you guys, that you guys are really in the trenches of this. Like, why a wholesaler? Nowadays you can buy directly from a farm, right? Like, you can do these farm direct. What is the importance or the value of having a wholesaler to you guys?
Well, there's got to be a value to justify your existence as a wholesaler. Because if a florist, they just got to buy 10 boxes and get them in the door, there's very little value there, although there is some. But the important thing for most florists is getting exactly what they want when they need it, in good shape. And something's wrong, fix the problem, and that's where a local wholesale florist adds value, and we've got to find a way to do that, or there's no reason for us to exist anymore.
Let me tell you, I'm glad you asked that question, because the other day I was looking at my Instagram, and I took some screenshots of this advertisement from a company that sells from Ecuador directly to florists, and look. That's a good business. I'm not knocking anybody's business. That's a good business. It actually, is probably pretty profitable, and it's a growing business. But there's a big difference. And look, I recognize that the trend is to bypass the middleman whenever possible, whether it's the florist bypassing the wholesaler, or the wholesaler bypassing the importer, or completely the reverse, the farm bypassing the importer. It's a complete mess. We talked about it last night. But this advertisement kind of like is a little bit unreasonable. I don't know if unreasonable is the right word, but this ad says buying flowers directly from Ecuadorian farms allows florists to benefit from high-quality products, cost savings, and ethical, sustainable supply chain, all while ensuring a fresh, varied selection of blooms year-round. Additionally, building direct relationships with the farms offers both financial and logistics advantages, making it a smart business decision for florists to seek enhance their offerings' customer satisfaction. And then they have some like bullet points that: number 1, exceptional quality; number 2, wide variety; number 3, competitive pricing; number 4, sustainability and ethical sourcing; number 5, longer shelf life; 6, better customization and flexibility; 7, direct communications and relationship building; 8, access to exclusive flower varieties. So this is probably true in a lot of ways, but
And
try
it's also not true.
try calling that guy on a Friday when you get a huge funeral.
It's not going to happen.
What are you going to do?
Friday at 2:00, they're with their family. See you Monday.
What are you going to do? Do you want your flowers in the back of a FedEx truck at 0 degrees in Chicago?
No.
Is that what you want?
No.
When was the last time that you saw a temperature-controlled FedEx truck?
Not once.
I haven't seen one either. Look, I'm not saying this is a bad business. I'm not saying it isn't cool for a florist to have the ability to pick up the phone or get online and have a box of roses FedEx directly to their door. I'm not saying that that's a horrible business. I'm saying it ain't everything. I'm saying your wholesaler is everything. Your wholesaler is feeding their family from serving you.
The wholesaler to me is your
Specifically.
uncle.
Is right.
It's the one that's like, you
Right.
know, maybe mom.
It's the one you can count on most.
Exactly. The
Yes.
one that, yeah.
It's the one
They're
you can
minutes.
count on most.
They're minutes away from you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Minutes away.
They're
from
always
you.
going to be there no matter what, good or
Exactly.
bad. You know, you're going to call your uncle. You know,
They're the only guy that's gonna wake up either early in the morning
Exactly.
or turn around, go back to the office to make sure you get your flowers right now.
Exactly.
They're the
So-
only one.
So you can never turn your back on your wholesaler, and you can never throw it in their face. Ah, man, I'm buying direct from this guy in Ecuador.
Plus, I don't know about you, but when I used
Oh.
to go to my uncle's house, he
And
always
then-
had these little candies and whatever. The wholesaler has the best candy, right?
Yeah.
The best flowers because we
Yeah.
got the cold stuff, right? We
Yeah.
got the stuff that's properly handled, properly processed, you know? So that's how I feel.
Listen.
It's like you're...
Bimi, that box of flowers from Ecuador is 3 days away. Your wholesaler is 3 minutes away.
Yeah.
No,
You
it's
know?
it's our mission to try to do things so that our customers will think and say what Mimi just did.
Yep.
That's what our goal is to hear words like that. But
Everyone
it's not
needs an
easy
uncle in the flower
Not easy
business.
to get there to justify
when
those
I
words.
when I wanted to decide to get into the flower industry, not the hard goods side, but the actual flowers, and I said I'm going to go to, you know, a lot of people. Mike definitely has a different business model here because you are growers, you are importers, but mainly here in Miami, we're seen as a wholesaler. We are a wholesaler for a lot of these people that are coming in with events and stuff.
I don't think we're seen as a wholesaler in the wholesale association's eyes. I
Well,
don't think so.
I know, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, the wholesale
But we're
business is
hybrid.
dying. Why
We're
would you go
hybrid.
into the
We
wholesale
absolutely-
business?" And to me, I feel like the wholesale business is where it's at because you get to solve so many issues. You are that person's shining star in the long day. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna come through. You're gonna be there. I don't think it's you know.
Listen, this is a digital world. Everything's done online. Do you have any idea why they still have people on the floor of the stock market?
Because it's last minute.
Because they freaking love it. They love the action. They love the noise. They love the banter, the back and forth, the
Yeah.
yelling, the screaming. They love it. A computer can't give it to you. And that's why there's the wholesale houses. They love it.
But it is important to
They
be
love being there.
up to date.
Walking
so
a
that's why
wholesale
we
house
have like, you know,
is one of the greatest things. Seeing the hustle and bustle, getting to see all the
Yep.
flowers and water and the people working and everybody running and things happening and flowers getting packed. And you see somebody's table and you're like, man, look at that color combination. I never thought about putting those two flowers together.
Right.
I still get excited.
oh yeah, we see the
you
trends
know,
happening
all the
real
time.
life right
real
here.
life right here.
Yeah.
I love
that
the wholesale
too.
side.
Oh, the products today are so wonderful compared to when I started. And just walking through your place today, the rose varieties, the just
Red like the hippie psychedelic display.
Really? Yeah.
oh, it was amazing. But every rose variety, you guys do a great job of taking care of them. They're just all in perfect shape. They were beautiful.
But both organizations, and I will say, but you guys are big online too. Like you have K2K, right?
Absolutely.
You guys have to move with the times, and I think that's good too because you offer that wide range of a business model.
How do you
Oh,
guys
sure.
educate florists how to use K2K and how that's beneficial and how they can actually scratch that itch of buying direct but not having to buy out of the Kennicott fold?
No, it's a real challenge for people, and I'm of my generation. Many of us aren't very computer literate, but K2K is such a great. We call it Kennicott Direct. It allows our customers to buy right from the inventory of Jet Fresh or some of our other prime suppliers that we've chosen, and they can buy a box right from the inventory of our farms and of our suppliers. And it's much more efficient. They can save money and get product that's hardly been handled at all right in the box.
And they don't break the cold chain.
Which is the most
and that's
important
the key
part.
thing. Yeah, it's coming on the refrigerated truck from Miami to our local wholesale house, and then they can pick it up or we deliver it right to them.
Yeah. So I think there's a spot for everybody in the business, but to flat out say that, that's the only way to go, it's not true. I think that
I
People have to
and not
take
just
everything
that,
for a test drive
I
once or
think-
twice.
I think our customers need to know that we're doing the hard work of vetting these people. Like, we're vetting them for you, because you can buy direct, right? And you can, just like you said, but you guys know these relationships that you've built. You're not going to be doing business with somebody that's not a quality, because it doesn't align with the mission for Kennicott. It doesn't align for the mission for Jet Fresh. So you have to be sure to, like, we've already done that work for you. So those boxes are coming
We kissed
direct.
all those frogs.
Yeah, and now we know who to buy from, who not to buy from, because let's face it, out there, not everybody's in here to do good. They're also here for profits, which is okay, but if you cut corners, you're going to see it in the flowers. You're going to see it in the quality of the flowers.
There are farms who are looking for ways to have some extra margin and to get a better price for their flowers, and you can't really blame them for that. We sell to large event companies and large retail florists in cities where we don't have other relationships. If they have an account on the trucking line, or if they have a way to transport their flowers, we're not in the business of FedExing a box here, there, and everywhere. That's not our thing. We'll FedEx you a box of orchids from our supplier in California, but that's about
it.
the most that we'll do alone. We'll fulfill things for other people.
But that's our name. Even though it's them supplying or fulfilling it, it's our name that's on the reputation. Like, they're going to call you. They're not going to call the farm and say, oh, I got a bad batch, you know?
But I believe since the day they invented it. Remember, we wore T-shirts and
Do you want a Y2K?
You want to see my K2K?
You want to see my K to K? When it first was invented, I was so behind it because I really believed that was the key for wholesalers to keep their customers in their fold.
Yeah.
I thought that was the key for wholesalers to be able to
give them that direct feel.
Yep, to give them, and they get a discount, right? I'm sure they buy them by the box. It's already pre-sold. They must buy sharper, right, Red?
Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, sometimes you can't, and that's why we're there as a local wholesaler, because at the last minute you need a bunch of yellow roses or something went bad and you need to substitute. That's our mission.
How many times a day will one of your vans or trucks go out to deliver to customers in the same area? Would they go out once a day or they go twice a day?
Well, it depends on the locality. In a city like Chicago, we can go a couple of times a day or multiple times. But there's certain areas that are more remote and takes longer to get to, so you're only there once a day or maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm. How far is your each location goes to other states, or they stay within their state?
Depends on the locality and where you are positioned, geography. But we certainly have some locations where they go to more than one state.
Yeah.
You have, 16 locations right now?
14 physical locations, yeah.
14. I couldn't sleep. No way. No way. And plus, you got your granddaughter going on there with the what can you? They have flowering branches.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Paige was telling us they have all those different flowering branches, and they're planting more.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the peonies.
Pussy willows and dogwood
Yeah.
and forsythia and other kinds of branches.
Yeah. When we have the new place, you saw that big breezeway that I showed you? We're going to put branches there to bud up a little bit before we put them in the cooler, so that have just a little bit of color showing.
That's a great idea.
I think the branches are so amazing because when we get them in, there's nothing. Those stems look bare. And I'm like, I was telling Casey the other day, I was like, Casey, that quince is, there's nothing on there.
They just need a little bit of warmth. A little bit of warmth,
and they start to
bit of
green
light.
up. They green up
effect,
fast.
They green up fast, yeah.
It's crazy.
But I think an event florist won't pick up a bunch that's super tight because they don't have two weeks to wait.
No, they need it for this weekend.
So it's our job to get it to the point where they only need to wait a few days.
So, Red, you went to the building?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, that's amazing.
And what'd you think?
Oh, I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic
We needed to get you a scooter
Did they
there.
have more of the cooler done today?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw the ceiling being insulated.
Whoa.
Right
Yes.
before our eyes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're moving. They're moving now. They're definitely moving. Yeah, I showed Red the whole layout, the whole flow.
We're
Mommy was there
excited.
too.
It's going to be amazing.
Thanks.
You
Oh,
gotta-
man, I'm so excited. I'm a little nervous about that move, but
No, we all are.
I'm so nervous about all the champagne bottles.
oh no, we already decided. I think we should make like an art with all the champagne
No,
bottles.
next time you go, you'll see we are gonna have this huge shelving thing in the hallway. Where we're gonna put all.
okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful.
Can't get rid of
Joelle's
the
nervous
bottles.
about putting up all of those plaques.
Plaques.
No, you could do it over a weekend, Joel. Yeah, you'll be good. I'm excited. I'm scared. Who knows? Who knows?
It's okay to be scared. That's good.
Yeah. Back in the day, were you on the road constantly?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And visiting growers, too. That's something I just always loved to do.
But did you drive from place to place, or were you flying? both.
Depending on the location,
Yeah.
either way. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
It's awesome.
Right.
I like to. Me and Casey every July for the last 3 years, we go on a farmathon in Canada, and we go and we visit everybody we do business with, and we also try to visit some people that we don't do business with, and maybe we can. And it's become a really great little 4-night trip, and.
Plus, you're doing it with Casey, your son. That's amazing.
Yeah, that makes it fun for me, and it's long and hard. And my wife, she hates Tim
Hortons.
Tim Hortons for whatever reason. So I always take a selfie picture from every Tim Hortons and send it to my wife.
She's a Dunkin'
Dunkin'
Donuts.
Donuts.
She's a
Dunkin'
Dunkin'
Donuts,
Donuts fan.
Yeah, I
Tim
told Red
Hortons.
my story about Dunkin' Donuts, how in love I am with their efficiency, and how
the
we're gonna do
screens.
the same thing.
Red, you take your coffee black. I see. I do. Yeah, me too. No, Ryan too. We like it like that. That's it. It's the best. It's the best.
Red, tell us a little bad about your history, and or maybe a bad story that sticks out to you.
About the industry.
About the industry in general.
Gosh, that's a tough one. I think COVID was a very bad experience right at the beginning for everybody because we didn't know what was going to happen. All of a sudden, the world was shutting down. We had, many, many shipments of flowers on the way. All of a sudden, the world changed. So I think that was one of the scariest times. But I guess the positive was all of a sudden it came back a lot quicker than anyone
We're
realized.
so resilient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one day, it was like a few weeks before Mother's Day, where it really came alive. It just came alive, and nobody saw it coming.
And you were in, a lot of your locations were in tough states, where unfortunately
They weren't
bureaucracy-
deemed essential, right?
Yeah, you weren't deemed essential
well,
at first.
we were fortunately we in fact we never closed our doors one day because we were a supplier to supermarkets. I guess we were considered essential, although really
Okay.
we were
that's
lucky, and I
beautiful.
think most wholesalers had that same experience.
Yeah.
But we never shut down. But it was scary, and then to see the videos of the tons
dumping.
of flowers being dumped, it was
remember.
sickening. It
heartbreaking.
It actually physically hurt me. I think
Yeah.
to see
It was
that.
heartbreaking.
Well, I remember when COVID hit.
We had to pay to dump it.
Yeah, not
all
not
part,
only
yeah.
did we have to dump it, we had to pay for it.
That it wasn't the full trailer loads that we were dumping. It was the fact that we had to pay like $500 to dump it, which was that for me that was the most painful.
But think of what that cost the grower. It cost you
Yeah.
$500, but the grower was
But you guys
many thousands.
started giving away, right? Like you gave a lot to
We
this.
tried.
We tried.
Yeah.
We gave away as much as we could, but we couldn't give people flowers.
Yeah, we
over
dumped 2
2H.
truckloads.
Yeah, I remember
It was scary.
I remember
heartbreaking.
because a lot of my friends are in the cruise line and hospitality industry, so they were all telling me, "Oh, I don't have a job. I bet I don't have a job." And I go, "Really?" And I sent the videos of them dumping the flowers, and then I saw you guys giving them out. So I was like, "Oh, look at Jet Fresh." But yeah,
We did everything and everything.
We tried everything.
Yeah.
We really did. We were even calling people and saying, "Hey, if you can get here, please come get some flowers."
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Our business is very resilient because we bounced back.
It is very resilient.
People love flowers, and I actually learned during COVID that people could send flowers to their mother when they couldn't take
couldn't
them
visit.
themselves. So that was a good thing for
That
the
was
flower
amazing,
industry.
Yeah.
It also trained people about the flowers. You know, that whole self-care thing. But
Yeah.
it also, like, people are now continuing to sell flowers. Not everyone, but a percentage of the COVID flower senders are still sending flowers. They're like
A good percentage.
Yeah,
Are still sending flowers, whether they're going to see somebody or not.
I think so. I think COVID saved a lot of florists. Saved them. They were on the fence or on the bubble. Maybe I was going to sell, or maybe I was going to close. Or, you know, business wasn't great. And then suddenly business was fantastic.
It was the shot in the arm that a lot of people needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see them reinvesting into their businesses. And
We've got some amazing new florists today. That's what's so encouraging to see the next generation of florists, and there's a lot of smart people getting into our business, and so it just bodes well for our future.
We were just talking about that last week. We see a trend of florists that have no storefront. They have studios. They have a studio, and
Or they're working out of a shared studio.
yeah, and they do events, small, medium, large events. They do little parties, and they do special order stuff. And we have a lot of those customers coming in here. Some of them are even writing books, you know, and they're teaching others how to
sharing
do it.
the knowledge.
So I think that's the next generation of florist is going to be.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, and we have a number of florists, and a growing number like that.
Yeah.
But then the traditional florist is still there, and in the next generation, they're smarter than ever and better business people, and so I think just that whole combination, there's a great future in our industry.
Yep, I agree.
And some of our biggest retail florists today started out working out of their home years ago. So
That's right.
it's a great evolution.
Our biggest customer started that way 25 years ago. And he used to come around and just buy a couple bunches. Now he buys truckloads. It's
crazy.
It's crazy.
You never know where someone's going to reach or what levels, how high they're.
And you know how he became our customer? The guy next door paid no attention to him. He told us the story, remember? I never knew that. The guy next door never paid attention to him, so he's like, you know, the hell with you. I'm going to go to these places, and I'm going to check out these guys. And that really tells you, you need to pay attention to whoever. You never know who's going to be tomorrow. Yeah, you never know who's tomorrow's whale. You never know who's tomorrow's great friend, good customer, loyal.
Well, Mike, you and I had a good conversation about exactly that last night. You remember the people who really help you out when you're beginning, when you really need the help.
Yes, sir.
Those are the kind of people you really remember.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I will, and I teach these guys that all the time. There's nobody that you should shun them. You need to say hello.
Everybody has humble beginnings.
Yeah, you got to stop and say hello to everybody. And if they see a customer that's carrying their own flowers, you need to go over there and grab it from them and carry it for them. And you know, you need to take care of those customers. And the customers remember, like Rafi, 25 years later, still remembers why he came in to see my father, because the guy next door didn't wait on him.
Right. We're all human in the
Who
end.
the hell remembers that shit
yeah.
for 25 years?
Because it was an important part of him. It was,
But he remembers.
yeah.
And I think all customers in the flower business are like that. People take.
It's Cuban coffee time.
Coffee.
Red, have you had Cuban coffee? I don't know. I might get in trouble if
No,
I give you
it's-
some.
Yeah, I've had. I like it.
Yeah, Cuban coffee for Red.
Boy, that's a special benefit of working at Jet Fresh. You get Cuban coffee in the
One of the
afternoon.
many.
Wait, you want one, Red? It's a necessity. On the weekends when I'm not
Wait,
here,
I gotta take a picture.
miss
for
out.
me.
Red, they have customers that come in for the coffee. No, thank you. Thank you.
We have customers that know what time Yanira comes around, so they make sure to get here around coffee time.
I don't blame them.
No, but that's a big Miami culture thing. Like, you know, if you go to the a place and they offer you Cuban coffee, that's you're telling them that they're home. You know, you can join home. So, so fun.
They go to the barber and it's instant.
Yeah.
You walk in and they offer you coffee.
You do your nails.
It's like,
The first
okay,
thing they say is,
you
"Quiere un
want coffee?"
cafecito?"
Yeah. Was there something you wanted to touch on?
Well, if I could put in a commercial for floral promotion, I think
Please.
our industry is so great today, and it can be double what it is if we just have more promotion of flowers. I'm a supporter, our firm is a supporter of that flower feeling and that movement, what they want to do. But at some point, if we could get to a promotion order, we could put that flower feeling on steroids.
Yeah.
That movement, because it's a way to fairly and painlessly have the consumer pay for floral promotion. So I'm a big advocate of a promotion order, and you can hear lots about.
Are they
more.
still working on that promotion order?
I mean, it's ready to go once the industry climate is such. You know, we need to show that the industry will support it. So absolutely ready to go.
And that was something you touched on earlier. You said that your Illinois Florist Association, that you guys, because you had growers, you had a big budget, right? So you guys were able to market your flowers.
No, that's a great example of how of a checkoff system, because all the flowers came in on consignment, and we took a very small percentage from the grower, and they just added a fraction. It's like freight costs go up by 5%, and it gets passed on. This would be just a minute fraction, but that was a great example. Yes, we had, back in those days, we had a big budget for our local Allied
and everybody
Florists.
was thriving, right? The wholesalers and retailers, and more people were buying flowers. So
Yeah,
you
the
lived it.
industry
You
was
literally
thriving.
lived what the floral promotion could do for all of us.
You said it perfectly.
Kudos. I like that. We can do that. So support it, fatties.
Well, are we ready for the questions then?
Let's do it.
Okay. Normally Ryan asks the questions, but I'll go ahead and ask you some of our questions. They're rapid fire, whatever comes off the top of your mind. So the most important one, and I'll tell you Lenny's after, but what is the best sandwich in your opinion? A hamburger? A hamburger?
Hamburger's a sandwich, just like a hot dog. Don't get me started, girl.
I just started having the grinders salads all the time, and I can't think. I think of Lenny every time because he likes the grinder, the Italian grinders. What is your favorite flower at the moment?
My favorite flower at the moment is the one I see when I walk in the door tomorrow morning, because every day there's something new.
Yeah.
And that's the exciting thing about being in the wholesale flower business. You get to walk in the door and see what's new today.
Love it.
What is the most underrated flower?
Underrated. That's interesting. I think today probably the carnation, and it's coming back.
Yeah.
But for a long time it was thought of as just a funeral flower or something.
Yeah.
But now they got so many beautiful new varieties, and the younger generation is seeing the value, because
I feel like the
they keep
breeders
so
are
well.
just showing off
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
My mom tells me all the time that in New York, if during Mother's Day you had to have a carnation to symbolize what you like, if your mother was alive or if you're dead. And
That's true.
she was always telling me, so I always bring her carnations for Mother's Day because she likes those. What is the overrated flower? Most overrated flower?
Oh gosh, I don't think there's anything such thing. As an
How dare
overrated
you?
flower if somebody
You
wants
almost
to buy 'em.
insulted him right now.
Yeah.
What is the scariest animal?
Scariest animal. Oh my gosh. Well, it's a tiger.
A tiger. What is your go-to way to relax?
Oh, I just like to come home and sit down and have a beer and watch the news.
If you could have lunch with a TV, book, movie character, who would it be? It could be fictional, non-fictional.
Gosh, that's a really hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be a sports?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sports, I think. Well, he's not around anymore, but Dick Butkus was a great linebacker
Bears.
for the Bears.
The Bears.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
To get people in the flower industry to support promotion so we can double the consumption of flowers.
It's almost gonna take a superpower. I love that.
After one of those good beers, one or two of them, what is your favorite food after, or if you're feeling a little drunk?
Oh, I like Italian food. I had a wonderful Italian dinner last night, and I would like another one of those.
Awesome. And Red, is there anybody you would suggest to be on this podcast?
Oh, I think you do a great job of
well, we just hit the best one yet.
Almost anyone in the flower industry has got a story.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about it.
That's true. Everyone has a good story. I agree.
At least one.
Mm-hmm.
Red, if someone wants to reach out to you, maybe they got some questions on your family history or, some business questions, how can they get in contact with you?
My phone, my email is red@kennicott.com, red@kennicott.com. It's pretty easy.
There you go. red@kennicott.com. Any other questions?
Nope,
we
we're
hit
good.
everything. Red, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate you being part of the podcast.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be with all of you. I appreciate it.
Special for us.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is
Big
very
time.
special.
Okay.
I think
So Mimi, I
smiled the whole
don't know how
time.
you're gonna beat this one, Mimi. No pressure for next week, but get on. Yeah.
Guys, Red already said it. Everybody has a special story.
I love it. Love it. Thank you guys for listening from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you, Red, for being a guest on our podcast and sharing. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.